Welcome, everyone. Today, we are unpacking a deeply disturbing and highly complex legal proceeding in this explainer, the preliminary hearing of David. We're going to be breaking down the grim, chilling facts presented by the prosecution, maintaining a completely objective lens as we piece together the evidence authorities say points to a horrific crime. This is a high-profile case with intense emotional weight, and our goal here is to explain the whole case in detail, looking strictly at what is unfolding in the courtroom. Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to start by looking inside the preliminary hearing, then uncover the timeline, examine the alleged financial motive, and finally, dig into the special circumstances and stakes. Section 1. Inside the preliminary hearing, Day 1 details. Right out of the gate, the hearing opened with an incredibly intense and emotional atmosphere. Celeste's family was actually present in the courtroom, warned in advance that they might want to look away from the evidence about to be shown. They chose to watch, though at one point, Celeste's mother understandably had to cover her face. And the facts presented by the prosecution, they are just bone-chilling. Authorities discovered a badly decomposed body locked in the trunk of David's Tesla. The prosecution presented gruesome photographic evidence showing that while the head and torso were intact, the victim's limbs had been completely severed. According to police evidence, the car sat abandoned for at least a month, meaning the body had been decomposing inside it for that entire duration, if not longer. Because of the severe decomposition, police initially couldn't even identify the victim. But this is where a critical piece of the puzzle falls into place. A tip came in to TMZ suggesting the victim might be Celeste. When they contacted Celeste's mother, she described a very specific tattoo her daughter had, noting its distinct color. This information was passed to the police, allowing them to finally connect the dots and identify the body by the very next day. Now, what makes this detail so deeply unsettling, as presented in court, is that the specific finger bearing this tattoo had been removed from the body and still hasn't been found. However, police noted that the missing tattoo correlates directly to the exact same tattoo David has on his own finger. This correlation forms a massive piece of the prosecution's physical evidence. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds, uncovering the timeline, tracking the crucial dates. To really grasp the prosecution's case, we have to track the crucial dates leading up to this grim discovery. The timeline presented by authorities reveals a massive, deeply concerning gap between the initial warning signs and the ultimate tragedy. It all begins back in February of 2024, when Celeste's parents first reported her missing and actually pointed police toward David as someone who might know her whereabouts. Fast forward over a year later to July 29, 2025. Surveillance video allegedly captures David driving the Tesla and parking it in the exact spot where it would ultimately be found. Police state the vehicle was never moved after that date. Finally, we reach September 2025, when the decomposed body is discovered inside that very car, and simultaneously, David initiates a major transfer of his assets. And this brilliantly illustrates the foundation of the prosecution's allegations regarding their relationship. Going back to that February 2024 missing persons report, police visited David's house and recorded the interaction on body cam. When shown a picture of Celeste and questioned about her, David's immediate response to the officers was, "I thought she was 18." But the police body cam footage shows officers immediately correcting him, stating, "No, she is 13," and actually clarifying she might have been even younger. In the eyes of the prosecution, this exact moment is an absolute legal cornerstone. It establishes that as of February 2024, law enforcement put David on formal recorded notice of Celeste's minor status. Building right on that formal notice, prosecutors are firmly alleging that an illegal sexual relationship occurred between David and the minor victim. To reinforce this allegation in court, they've introduced text messages exchanged between David and Celeste, where they are actively discussing Plan B. We are reporting this impartially as the prosecution's core narrative. They argue that this alleged illegal relationship is the absolute catalyst for everything that followed, setting the direct stage for their theory of the motive. Section 3. The alleged financial motive, protecting an empire. Now, what's really interesting here is the why. How does the prosecution explain the motive? Well, it centers on a staggering figure, $11 million. According to statements made in court, this is the amount of money David made from his lucrative music career between 2023 and 2025. This massive wealth is the absolute anchor of the prosecution's theory regarding his motive. The state claims that Celeste was furious at David for cutting her off. According to prosecutors, she had explicitly threatened to go to the authorities to expose their alleged illegal relationship. Had she gone to the police, the prosecution argues, David's highly lucrative music career, his reputation, and his freedom would have entirely gone down the drain. Therefore, the state's theory is rooted in a purely financial and self-preservation motive. They say he killed her to protect his empire. To bolster this theory of financial preservation, prosecutors pointed to a highly suspicious real estate transaction. In September, literally the exact same month the body was finally discovered in his abandoned car, David transferred the ownership of his Texas home right into his mother's name. Prosecutors argue this was a calculated move by a man terrified that an impending criminal investigation would trigger a massive civil lawsuit, causing him to lose his accrued wealth. Section 4. Special Circumstances and Stakes. The legal dogfight. This is where the hearing turns into an absolute legal dogfight over the specific charges. To understand why, we've got to look at the chilling sequence of events prosecutors allege took place the night of the murder. First, they claim David deliberately ordered an Uber for Celeste to bring her to his house. Second, she arrived at the property, presumably thinking she was there at his behest. Third, and this is crucial, prosecutors allege David was lying in wait for her. Fourth, upon her entry into the home, he executed a premeditated plan to kill her. She was never seen alive again. That phrase, lying in wait, is incredibly important, as is the prosecution's other allegation of murdering a witness. In the legal world, these are known as special circumstances. These are specific aggravating factors attached to a murder charge that dramatically increase the legal stakes, often elevating the potential sentencing to life without parole or even the death penalty, depending on the jurisdiction. The prosecution is fighting tooth and nail to have these special circumstances attached to this case. So, the crucial point is understanding the judge's role right now. In a preliminary hearing, the judge is not deciding if David is guilty. They are simply deciding if there is probable cause. Probable cause is a relatively low legal standard. It just means it's more likely than not that a crime occurred and the defendant committed it. It is a much lower bar than the beyond a reasonable doubt standard required for a jury conviction. Because of this low bar, legal experts watching this case cannot imagine a scenario where the judge doesn't find sufficient probable cause to hold David over for trial on the basic murder charge based on the grim evidence presented. Therefore, the real battleground for the next 4 days of this hearing isn't just about the murder charge itself. It's about those aggravating factors. The fierce legal dogfight will center entirely on whether the judge will allow the prosecution to present those special circumstances, the lying in wait, the murdering of a witness, to a jury during the actual trial. Which leaves us with this final thought. If the judge does allow these special circumstances to move forward, how drastically is that going to change the ultimate battle and the defense's strategy when this case finally lands in front of a jury? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer deep dive. We'll see you next time.